Good afternoon, and we are here for what's going to hopefully become a regular Saturday thing for at least a while, where we're going to take an overlook at Sharn City of Towers. And I took a big hit right there. I don't know why. A little bit of lag in the old stream. Anyway, the main thing is to get ready for the next expansion pack, which will probably release sometime in near the end of the first quarter of 2019 by everybody's unofficial speculation. And let's like I said before, and I guess I should leave this off with every single stream I have for this. When I first got into Dungeons and Dragons Online in 2019, or 2019, it's not 2019 yet. I'm thinking Blade Runner in 2009. I love the look of the Eberron stuff so much. I went out and I started really reading the Eberron lore. I even picked up the PDFs through Drive-Through RPG, so that's what I'm looking at today. Hello, Rolona. I got the novels through somewhat less legitimate means, but that's just because I couldn't find. I literally scoured every single used bookstore for within 150 miles of me. I mean, I went down to L.A. When I was in L.A., I looked at a couple I knew down there. So, I'm sorry. I am getting a little. I am having several migraines over, but I wanted to get this done today because I'm really committed to this. Because after reading that, I fell in love with the idea of Sharn, City of Towers, and it's the natural place to go to the rest of Eberron from Zendrick, because Sharn is known as the place you go to Zendrick. So if you go there, it's like the airships are like a spoken hub system, like airlines are. You go, Sharn is the connection to Zendrick, or to Stormreach. Stormreach must be the connection from Zendrick back to Sharn. So today we're going to look at Sharn's locations and services. Last week we kind of had a general overview where we went over what it kind of might look like in the different districts or not. But I want to now take a look at what kind of things we might encounter within the city itself and how they would lead to really good DDO experiences. You see, I'm here on Alice Thane because I'm doing Alice Thaney type of things. I'm being a bard. I'm giving you my lore skill because I love this stuff. It's one of the few things that's always been on my Nook reader. I got the Nook, not the Kindle, because the Nook at the time was known that the card reader. So I guess I should get a Kindle one of these days because it doesn't even exist anymore. I can get a Samsung tablet, but let's go ahead. You're not here to do that. I'm here for that. I'm sorry, a little babbly. Let's go back into that PDF. All right, I have activated the PDF. I've got to switch back to these things so I can see. And we're going to take a look at this. And I was thinking about skipping over the antiquity section, but last night when I was going over it, I realized that can't do that. I can't. Because right there in the uppermost level of the Turius Tower near the museum in the 7th Tower District, is sometimes called Little Zendrick. So this is in the Morgrave University Densis Museum. Desina Museum of Antiquities. And this is in Upper Mendes. All right, so this is in that section just to the south of the Central Plateau. Now, we have 6 competing dealers in antiquities that share that tower space. So this is kind of where all these artifacts that we have, say like the sword of the Sovereign Host, and why did I go bleep bloop? Yeah, all these little knickknacks that we find, maybe the ruined signet brooch, or even some of the stuff we keep, like maybe we find another one, like the mysterious ball, or we can see like Or, well, let's go there. I just thought about it. So, what I'm seeing here is we're going to go into a museum and think of it maybe oops, as in the airship, in the airship dealer. Maybe it looks like the airship dealer. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at that first. Sorry, it's a little hard for me to do this sometimes. I don't have a stream deck. Okay, so the way I am imagining it, maybe it's a building that looks a little bit like this. This never really looked like a house to me, especially this back part with the tower. You know, so maybe we have a little fancy tower like this, and why am I lagging? I am lagging like a dog. I'm not disconnected. I'm just lagging. Why all the lags? All the background stuff is working. I just got all the lags. Okay. Why does this have to happen now? How's my stream state? My stream state is fluctuating, so it actually might be my end. Oh, we have Spectrum now. Not as good as Bright House was. Come on, I want to use the client. If anybody's on, I don't know why. It just seems like I'm going to always have these problems right when I'm going to do these Sharn, wonderful Sharn. Look at this, I'm bouncing around like a pinball. I thought it was free there for a moment. That guy moved. Do we have... That's not going to help. Unless I started early. Maybe it's a cove thing. I don't know. Maybe it could be it. Yeah, it could be me. Let's log out and try to get a cleaner connection. Let's just close the client and try to get a cleaner connection. Yeah, it could be one, you know, it used to be that old thing where it used to be 2049 or something, or, you know, we remember the bad old days of that one Texas company that was jacking everything up and they had to move back when they were under turbine. While we're doing that, we can still go over some of this. So while we're waiting for me to load out, this seems like a perfect place for us to go right off the boat. You know, we're gonna, you know, perfect. You know how we have the quest line, the Lords of Dust quest line, and it leads us to Evening Star. So for the Sharn one, we have right here, the very first part, we have the Antiquities thing. So maybe we collect something like an icon of Shavarath or a piece of Lemania, or even something from Giant Hold. Since Rolona mentioned that he's in Giant Hold, we're going to take that from Zendrik and we're going to go across the Thunder Sea and deliver this to Sharn. And where would we end up? Well, we would probably end up, we're from Zendrik. The first part that's going to make us feel at home, other than where maybe our people are at, and they can't really program that into, or where our house is at. Once again, they can't really program that into it. So if they can't do our race and they can't do our house and they can't do our class, they can do what we're from. And Little Zendrick would be a natural place for us to go to feel at home as a group. Boy, my BPS is doing this. But that would be the perfect place for us to go to. We would go to Little Zendrick. So now we're going to assume that we need, right off the bat, the Central Plateau. I'd argue we also now need Upper Memphis. A little bit of lag. This is a lot better. So now we've got that up. Now going into the university, I would imagine a fancy-ish kind of place like this. Displays, fine carpeting. I always love this carpet, by the way. If I had a casino, I would do it in this carpet pattern. And, we'd have displays, and instead of airships, there'd be antiquities. But what are some of the antiquities we could take over there? Well, let's take a look at that, because there is a place where we can go to and see where we would find those. And that would be actually someplace in the marketplace. I gotta stop saying. Save that for Bard Life. So, there's a quest in the marketplace that I'm sure that most of my viewers who are familiar with DD, called Repossession. Level 4 quest, Sharn Syndicate. Maybe we'll get Epic Sharn Syndicate. That'd be cool. I think you already done it on Elite, but there's no reason for me not to go into it. On Elite.
So this is what I like.
Where? And we'll do a little. We've got to do a little bit of this. On level 30. I just swing my little stick. Now we're just going to go to the end room. I'm not really doing this for loots or I'm not even doing this for favor. I've already got this cleared. When in doubt, try 4. 1, 2, 3. Most of these wheels are 4. Oh, we have this room where where Zircon, or his master, I'm not too sure about that, has set up this of all of his stolen artifacts from all over Zendrick. So we have, I'm gonna have to turn this back on. We have Moggy, the Moggy statue, Blood Ice Saber, a vase from the Monastery of the Scorpion, the Scorpion Crown, which I think is from the Tier of Volkur, Oscarix's 2. That would be a fun one to take, too. Stupid gargoyle. Leave me alone, I'm doing it. I'm doing this. Ark of the Truthful One. This would be another good one to do, especially if you can tie it into a giant hole. Kamal's Heart. The Grail of Eternal Sleep. And probably the most prevalent of all the artifacts, Nat Ganzern. I'm not too sure what it is about Nat Gan, but there's just. Oh, I actually have to open this, right? Let's blow up. Oh, look at that! I guess they're on the first time. Actually, that's the most common one. I'm here. I'm gonna get the collectible in the chest. I might as well finish it. I didn't get to have enough money by just leaving things around. But you can see how, maybe even tie it into epic, repossession, where you come in here and it's all like, hey, this could be the perfect, you don't even need to make it a chain. You could just make epic repossession, and put it into the new pack. And you have to come in here and collect some of these artifacts and take them to Sharn. I think that would be knock that one out of the park, really, to tell you the truth. And it says that you're supposed to try to repossess some of the stolen art. Well, you want to protect the art. The coin lords are going to send it to, maybe make a deal with somebody. All right. So let's go turn this back into Kier real quick, and then we will continue on with the discussion at the end. We'll kick it with Kier here for the... Oh, I got Quan's Man. Nice. Too bad I don't need it. I was hoping it would bound a account acquire. I'll take it anyway. It's the most interesting thing there, isn't it? Alright, we're gonna stick it with Kier here. Alright. Let's bring back up the PDF. I'll put it up there for you guys. Alright, banking. Now this is going to be big for us because of course we deal with House Kandaric on a regular basis. I mean, when don't we just... it's the house we probably deal with most because, in all honesty, we all need to go to the bank. So, large amounts of valuable treasure from their latest adventure can find banking services they need in the upper central ward. One of the higher levels, not all the way up there, but fairly up there. Kandaric operates the largest bank in the city, Bank of Sharn, located at the top of the Kandaric Tower. So I'd kind of imagine, stick with me here, they made a ziggurat in Zendrick. I would like to see something, this is just me, kind of like a stone medieval version of the Transamerica Pyramid that's in San Francisco. That's just me, but I think that would look awesome. It'd be my own little, like an Easter eggy thing. I think that would be funny. Try and make it look as much like the Transamerica Pyramid without actually like getting into problems. Then there are smaller banks in Karnath and Koranthivin. There are 9 other banks which feature money changers, lenders, and providers of other financial services. I really don't think we need other financial services. It would be. I would think so, Rolana. They're kind of like the pyramids, but we need tall, slender towers. Can we do both? Well, it's been proven that we can. More importantly, I think, other than banking, I mean, we are going to need it. I think we should make House Kandaric kind of keep their thing. More importantly, though, is commerce. We're going to find things. We need to find things. Merchants must purchase a permit granting them to permission to set up a booth or other presence in the marketplace. In this marketplace, there are a couple of marketplaces. There's Trade Fair in the middle central, North Market, and lower north edge. We could probably do without that one. The Bazaar in Middle Dura, and Tavik's Market in the middle of Tavik's Landing. I would keep Tavik's Landing. You could probably easily make Tavik's Landing part of Upper Memphis. Now this is where, of course, we're going to find all of those handy merchants that we find in the marketplace. You can find potions and wand vendors and scrolls and hirelings and vendors and whatnot. I would kind of like to see this done more kind of a sloping pit thing, kind of like, you have the outer one for like bulk goods and then the lower part for like the vendors, because that would make sense, because the individual vendors would be concentrating on gaining new merchandise while then selling whatever they take in. While the upper ring should be reserved for those merchants that are concentrating on only putting things out. You don't trade back in your potions. But I think this is also a chance for us to get, and maybe only in one of these locations, and maybe for double the listed price, or I don't care, something, plat drain, for us to get mnemonic potions without having to just find them. I mean, I've hoarded them, but I've literally hoarded them since I stopped really kind of super needing them when Menace of the Underdark came out. So 2014, I've had 4 years to hoard. Before then, I would use them because I had to. You had to heal the raids back then. And epic quests when epics were only 20. The 2 quests I've used the greatest number of mnemonic potions on were Tower of Despair, when it was the absolute cap, and then level 20 epic Big Top. You kind of have to spam. I used some in original epic Demon Queen, but usually you took 2 or 3 so you could do the turtle thing, and we just cycle. And not every, you didn't have to go through all your spell points. You could get away with that fight with the turtle technique and 3 healers pretty easy. Why do I keep blinking? Sorry, my phone is going crazy. Oh, okay, so people are sharing that. Great, I appreciate that. Now, it says that you can set up a business or another shop in the city, and while that might be a great thing to bring to this game, I don't think so. I think instead of setting up shop thing, maybe you could have craftable or collectible traders. I would really encourage them to put those in, but at a very, very high level, or a very high price. I mean, you could buy collectible crates for 100,000 plat. I know that the new people are still a little bit hurt, but I would also encourage that, because I think in the long run that would get people then to get rid of their hoarded plat, like we're some kind of big dragon or something, and then move that over so we can, when we collect collectibles inside of the quest, we have a bigger encouragement than to sell them on the auction house. That's my thought. I might be wrong. All right, communication. Sharn is a center for international trade, obviously. Obviously, with it being the City of Towers, this makes it a natural place to run airship operations out of. And it's, the endpoint of the lightning rail. And it's the center of the lightning post, too. House Orion's lightning post. Just because between it being a port, a railway head, and an airship destination, I mean, this is like this is the L.A. This is the New York City of the world. Actually, considering it's on the hill, let's go for it. Let's do the obvious one. Considering its position, considering its role at San Francisco, considering its position, it's Alameda. All right, I'm a California boy. I'm gonna make those things, but the bay looks a little bit like a southward-facing San Francisco Bay anyway, and Sharn is located right where the Oakland, Alameda, Berkeley complex would be. So the Speakers Guild of House Silvis specializes in swift communication. The most economical form of communication is the speaking stone. Silvis has established message stations in most of the major cities and towns in Corvair, And for 5 gold pieces, you can send a one-page message to any of those stations. Yeah, this is basically just copying the Orion Lightning post. So we really don't need to change that. But it would be good to implement something like that for quest giving and maybe even quest turn-in. Maybe remote quest turn-in inside of Sharn, so you don't have to go all the way back to the quest giver for a price. Probably be astral shards though. VIP gets a 1 remote turn-in a day for free. Alright. Whispering Wind, yeah. Courier service provided by House Orion. Okay, yeah, this is one of the ones I wanted to cover. Let's see if they have it right here. There we go. So, this is another thing that could probably be implemented with really fun effects. Especially in Sharn, if they decide to go outside of Sharn for requesting or whatnot, or even just fast travel to it. We've seen a little bit of this with inside of the game in the Hall of Heroes. Let's go to them. Let me close this. This is one of the few times where a stream deck would actually be admirable. So let's turn off the PDF for a second here, which means I have to then bring up these things. I just can't do that. Let's go back in game, and we're going to go to the Hall of Heroes this time. Now, reading that with House Orion and the dimensional port, what I'm imagining is that every sector could have somebody to help you get to the quests faster. Let's see, where am I going? Oh, there it is. I always look for the fortune teller. I think this is what I want, right? Why are they over here? Oh, silly me. They are upstairs. I have the wrong quest givers. Well, I want... Okay. So, for these quest givers, they have places. So this is like a really quick way to get to Shaver without having to go all the way through the Tower of the 12. Plain Scholars, I'm sorry. So, in this chain... Oh, what is it called? So, Rolona, can you help me with this? What's this quest pack called? The Codex. Okay, I'm sorry. These are the ones that talk about the Codex. So, each one of these, instead of having to go all the way out there, you can port. Now, and in a lot of adventure areas, say like in Weilun, they have that lizard folk there who, for shards, will take you there. Well, I think every, say they have the Central Plateau and Upper Memphis. There should be one person in each one of the Devil's Gambit. Thank you. They should have one Planescaller type person from House Orion that will teleport you for a small fee. And I mean small. I mean like 1 shard. Let's give up this 3 shard, 5 shard BS. Shards are much harder to come by than plat. No problem. I appreciate the help. I have a pretty good memory, but we're now up to over 400 quests in this game. Can't remember the names at a moment every time. I have to remember so many other things. Like I remember the maps of all the quests, so I think I'm good there. But with that, for one shard, it can teleport you. Maybe you're the kind that gets easily lost. But if you go to the central marketplace and the House of Orion building and inside the Plains Caller, maybe for a shard or a tremendous amount of platinum. Just looking for plat sinks here, guys. A tremendous amount of plat or a small amount of shards. And shards are worth so much more, so don't make it too expensive. It'll teleport you to any Sharn quest you have active. Maybe within that zone, so you'd have to pay 2 to go to the other zone. So you're in Sharn, you need to get to Upper Memphis. You pay 1 shard to go teleport directly to Upper Memphis to where their Plains Caller is, and then 1 shard to teleport to that. Otherwise, you can just walk. Come on, let's not encourage too much laziness. But I just talked to them. They attacked the 12. Well, send me to the 12. Kerpow! And yeah, you get hit by a lightning bolt, and you're off to the 12. Where you are doing the quest to get Fatal Flaw. Subversion. Oh, I gotta get in there a Fatal Flaw. So we'll do that. We'll bring up the PDF again. Sorry, with the way I have this set up, it is just a little bit. If I don't click on these 2 other things after I bring the PDF on, I cannot see what you guys are saying. All right. So we also have the lightning rail. That's fine. You can even have a gargoyle. Deliver a letter or a small package within Sharn. I think maybe that would be fun too, to have a button where it's like spend an astral shard to access your mail immediately, and a gargoyle would fly out of the sky and appear in front of you. That'd be fun. All right, we're gonna skip the first part of the companionship because we're not getting that in here. We're not The companionship section is decidedly less than PG-13. So we'll go straight down to the dining clubs part of it. And this is where we're going to find really great places to start adventures. Dining clubs are where big social circles are. So this is where we find people like Cyan from House Fairlane, or Deliro Marin IV, or any of the coin lords. These people would be a lot more. The coin lords are big fish in a little pond. These would be big fish in a big pond, especially in the upper central and upper Memphis sections. The reach of the law begins to fade as one travels the many levels, travels down the levels of many of Sharn's towers. It is a well-known fact that the city watch is thoroughly corrupt, of course. Now, we can get the Loradero will be a little harder, but the cogs will be fine. We'll probably find, the Sharn Syndicate operating big time down there, where we can fetch stolen goods, hire a burglar or assassin, hopefully with plat, or engage in other criminal pursuits. Alright, so let's talk about this right here. The House Tarkanan criminal family has structured itself in mockery of the Dragon Mark houses. That sounds like so much fun. Though mostly human, it includes members of all races, and its headquarters are in the Dragon Towers of Middle Central. So this is obviously someplace that we could see right off the bat. The Tyrants is an organization of changelings, also concentrated in the Dragonized district of Lower Tavik's Landing. And if they could attach Tavik's Landing to Upper Memphis, this would also be pretty good. We also have a Middle Memphis gang called the Boromar clan, which are a bunch of halfling criminals. Oh, and in the cogs we have Dask, which is obviously a kind of probably an offshoot of the Monster Nation. Droll. Got it. Could appear in the cogs. One of these things, it says they might be turning to these guilds for such purposes as borrowing large sums of money to pay off a debt. I don't want debts in the game. And gambling, I don't even think the one gambling thing works anymore. I think they took that out. I can check. Oh, let's go check. I don't want to really see gambling too much in the game, though, anyway. But, it just occurred to me, I have not really seen that. So let's go see if it's even a thing. Now, for a long time, the only place where you could actually, like, gamble, I believe, was in the Phoenix Tavern. It's still there. Woo! And it comes up on red. It's kind of like roulette, but you don't get to see anything. Yeah, I thought that would have been taken out a long time ago. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go back now. Let's go ahead and hang out at the gambling table then. I really would have thought, but it's just there. All right. So now in Sharn, first off, let's admire the logo. This is the seal of the city of Sharn, and it's kind of like the Patronus Towers with an extra one and some keys. It's really good. Oh, really, Rolanda? Well, after all these years, even I'm finding stuff, so I'm glad to share what I do know. Now, for some reason, this book makes it really clear that people in Sharn love to eat, and for some reason, food's not hard for Sharn. I mean, I guess you got the ships coming in and the train and whatnot, so it's probably easy to get it from the countryside. But if this section is correct, we're going to be spending a lot of times in anything from the Russian tea room all the way down to Joe's Eats. You can think of the gentlemen that hang out in the Hammersmith Hammersmith. I think it's the Hammersmith. The Depths chain guys in House Denny's. Which is kind of appropriate since we do call House Denny here House Denny, so obviously they like to eat. It would be good to have, you have street, there are, for a city of, I think there's 100,000? 200,000 people here. There are 1,000 restaurants, not counting street vendors and inns that also serve food, and an endless variety of dining options to natives and visitors alike. So the big one will be the Celestial Vista restaurant, which will be probably on the top level, the Sky Harbor. That's it, the Sky Harbor. And they mentioned specifically Cloud Dragon or the Azure Gateway, both of which have views as stunning as the Celestial Vistas. All the food is purified by House Galanda, And now this is really big because maybe we'll see, and this is bringing up a point. We're seeing a lot of other houses that we don't normally see in Zender. Because those are primarily the adventuring houses, the more adventurous houses. Maybe we'll be able to see some of the houses that provide some of the quieter services. Maybe even do stuff for them, like House Galanda will need resources to help them purify all this food. So obviously there's a big up-and-coming restaurant, and of all places, Tavik's Cogs. So underneath Tavik's Landings in the lava pit, where you can watch a giant forge. Which would probably be amazing, but it's like a really good restaurant on the bad side of town. And coming from where I do, we used to have a street that used to be basically a resort. This town, as bad as it used to actually be a resort when going to the desert for fresh air used to be a big thing back in the 50s. We had a whole string of luxury hotels. We had a genuine Michelin chef open up his place of business here, Mr. Jassad. And my dad got to know him very well. And, it was just, a real experience to have something like that in a town which, when Mr. Jassad opened it, there were like only 25,000 people here, and we had a 5-star restaurant. We don't anymore. I don't even think we could take that back. We got one restaurant that would probably be a 3 or a 4-star restaurant, but now in the Mentis Plateau, we're going to have all different kinds of places we're going to go adventuring with, centered around food, obviously. This is where you can get halfling cuisine and dwarven cuisine and elf cuisine and even exotic Riordan food. Riordan in the University District. And we should spend quite a bit of time in the University District. Especially since, like I said, that's probably where we should start out in. All right. And of course, even if we have restaurants, we're adventurers. And some of us adventurers are bards. And you can't have bards without bars. You can't have a bard without a bar. It's right there in the name. Now, I was thinking about this right here. Traditionally, many adventurers retire to the tavern between adventurers, and a tavern is a time-honored place to meet with an employer. The PC may choose to crawl from one pub to another, never settling in one place, but there are a number of advantages to be gained by declaring one tavern as your personal watering hole. That got me thinking. Now, this is pie-in-the-sky dreaming stuff. I have no idea the programming involved in. I have no idea how kludgy it is to work with this 12-year-old program. But what I'd like to see is if you choose to use the spirit binder in that bar, declare it your own. Every quest started from that bar, you would get a treasure hunter's boost to the end rewards of those quests in that bar. So then you have to question whether you want the convenience of going back to your airship when you die so you can get your buffs really quick, or give up that, or get that boost to your end reward treasure. Or if you bind to that location, then maybe like Wei Lun used to do, and the way Stormhorns used to do, due to a bug, obviously, apparently. Maybe you would get guaranteed at least I can see why they want on Tales of Valor, but maybe at least guaranteed that as long as you're doing epic deeds or within a certain range of levels, you would be guaranteed to get a heroic deeds or some sort of renown boost. we have the choice. Says the choice of tavern also affects the way that the characters are perceived and the type of work they are offered. The group that drinks on Lower Dura gets a chance at a lot of quick and dirty deals, but it's a good place to meet a pickpocket. But the Ondinarian ambassador won't be dropping by. On the other hand, Dragon's Towers make an excellent choice for characters who want to get involved in the intrigues between the Dragonmart houses. So lower levels should have quick and dirty quests, much like the Depths Chain. And the Dragon Towers would be like for like really like long saga type things. Say like Necro 4 or I wouldn't even dare say even the Caneth quests. Educational opportunities abound in Shards, though not to the extent they do in Kornberg, with its prestigious university and library. Morgrave University, and I think next time we're going to cover Morgrave University. I think that's the one. Is a second-rate university, apparently as interested in selling antiquities to Zendrick as in studying them. This is where Indiana Jones would definitely be at home with. This is what happens when you have an entire university where the archaeology department would be handled by Henry Jones Jr. Or Vash from Star Trek: The Next Generation. I see these more as opportunities for questing or trips back to Zendrick, not Zendrick, no, mixing with Zendrick, than anything else. I could never see them offering like stat tomes or skill tomes for sale for plat or astral shards. You buy them with turban points. Maybe they could have a vendor in one of the public areas that would open the DDO store for you. I just don't see it. Employment, much like education, finding employment often depends on connections with one of the Shards trade guilds. So obviously this is the part where it's going to link to be like those guides that lead you to where one of the crafting halls are, or maybe directions to one of the Dragonmark House's representatives. Sometimes those guys can be, well, for new players, sometimes those guys can be a little hard to find. I think the hardest one for me to find was Argonesi because they were sitting right out there by the person who teleports you, and you kind of get focused on Giant Hall and you don't turn around. I think the guys in the 12, well, especially in the original 12, were a pain in the butt. But when we look at this, we have down here it says another strong possibility for employment is to work for the Sharn Inquisitive, the city's local chronicle. So we could have obviously have a link to the free agents and House Zendrick's Zendrick's own newspaper here. We could definitely see a tie-in with the Yalth Inquest chain. Entertainment. Well, entertainment. The hub of entertainment industry in Sharn is the Memphis Plateau, which we have already covered as a part that might need to be like really important to include. So you could have a quest chain where we're going to bring over a house, Fairlane, and Braun Pitts' big performance, right? We're going to get Braun Pitts to agree to go to leave Zendrick and come over to Sharn to put on the play The Fall of Truth, right? I think it would be kind of funny to see a giant in the middle of Sharn, kind of like I can't go anywhere. They have to fly an airship down to me to get me anywhere. I hate it here. I mean, he's already complaining in Age of Rage. Why not Why not have him complain? Just make his life a living hell. So we can probably see House Fairlane setting up shop in the Memphis district. The bard trainers, Gnomes illusionists, whatnot. It'd be fun for them just to, if they, I know, you gotta concentrate on what gets you through, but it would be fun to see have them have plays like that to introduce you to Sharn in all of these places, to let you know about maybe the lore or the history. But we all know that time is of importance, and sometimes, pretty things like that have to be put on hold. But it would be nice to just have little Easter eggs like that. And exotic services, they're not meaning exotic like, wink wink. They're talking about things that don't normally happen in Breland. Halfling warriors from the Talenta Plains like to recline in couches while servants rub scented oil into their hair. We're not talking about anything. This would just be fluff stuff. This would just be fluff. All right. Now here we have two little parts. Find someone and hiring an inquisitor. I think this is probably going to be one of the central focuses of the initial quest lines, where Sharn's just so big that you have to go out and find people. And this always is a really good hook for the start of a quest chain, where you have to find someone and they're in trouble, or they've uncovered this big conspiracy, or they've lost their grilled cheese sandwich, and if Dirk's here, Dirk makes the trip. And of course, his grilled cheese sandwich is the evidence that Arboth is really a dragon. I can dream. So obviously, this is going to be a very good plot hook for us. And if they actually did it under this system, then you would just take a really long time and get paid really well. So that's not going to happen. Running around with the meter in a cab, that would be. All right, well, let's go down to the big thing. Now, Gateway to Zendrick. Why does this interest us? I have no idea. Oh, right, that's where we're at. Many adventurers come to Sharn solely to get someplace else, using the city as a launching point for an expedition to the ancient ruins and trackless jungles of Zendrick. Morgrave University and the Wayfinder Foundation both send teams to Zendrick on a regular basis, and Sharn hosts a thriving antiquities market that provides demand for items recovered from Zendrick by both official and amateur expeditions. Well, we've been on an amateur expedition now for almost 12 years. Come on, we gotta get paid. The Cliffside Ward is a good place to find ship captains experienced in the passage to Zendrick, who have contacts with the Sohagan of Shargon's Teeth and can secure safe passage through those straits. We know what happens when that doesn't happen. You end up on Korthos Island. And in any case, on a port like that, going through there, I think there should be a random chance you end up on Shipwreck Shore again. That'd be hilarious. You know how you have when you teleport somewhere, there's the magic has gone wrong and you appear, 5 miles above the marketplace. Well, if you board a ship, maybe there's a cheap option, like the super cheap option. You're trying to save your last plat because you're stingy, or you have your last plat. It's literally your last plat. And so you take the boat and you end up on Shipwreck Shore, and before you can even get back to Korthos Island, you have to redo the grotto or something. I think that'd be hilarious. It says airships do not normally make the trip from Sharn to Zendrick, but we all know that's not going to hold true. We've made Zendrick famous, okay? We're that good. Stormreach, a rough and tumble frontier community where giants often trade in the marketplace, is an essential stopover for most expedition before proceeding further into the wilds of Zendrik. So maybe a good plot hook here would be, rather than us looking for an expedition to join, a plot hook would be for us to help arrange another expedition. It's like, hey, we've done our tour. We're the grizzled veterans, and we're going to provide advice, or maybe even a quest line where we kind of like train up and weed out the noobs. So as the gateway to Zendrik, Sharn has a number of residents who sell their services to adventurers and prospectors planning expeditions to that mysterious continent. As with Investigator's House, Tharax dominates this field, making use of their magical dragon mark abilities, as well as their extensive, if more mundane skills and experiences. So throughout here, we might actually see some of the more adventurous people that we have met in Zendrik. Ulfgar from Caverns of Koromar comes to mind right away. Or, let's see, I'm trying to think of anybody else I can think of. Maybe a coin lord who's always there, obviously going to be, but they're there on a visit. Or the dude that gives you the miller's debt, since he's kind of a lackey. He'd be a good one. Or even Harbor Master Zen. I mean, it would be nice to see a few familiar faces in Sharn, because one of the biggest advantages of the recent quest packs is seeing a few familiar faces in the quests. I mean, I loved seeing... Now I'm blanking on their names. Well, Brawn Pits, obviously. Or Haberdasher. I mean, that was really neat. I didn't see Haberdasher there, to tell you the truth. He's taking... Well, obviously Haberdasher's probably going to be one of the ones that have to... Anyone we met in Age of Rage is probably one we're going to see in Sharn, because obviously that's the quest chain they set up to take us here. And of course, House Jurassic is going to have a presence there, because a city this big are going to need hospitals. So, let's kind of take a second to meta-size all of this and turn it into a real game or existing game. I'm picking the wrong thing, wrong little black dot. To a real game areas, to say. There it is. Now, we've already talked a little bit about Morgrave University and how just the museum itself would look. It would look like a big version of the airship. I think that kind of decor would work fine if they wanted to reuse materials. If they wanted to come up with something new, that would be understandable, but I would like to kind of see the same kind of a theme. You know what museums are like, or old museums are like. Lots of brass railings, and maybe a little bit of lighter wood on the old texture, and a bunch of stands lying around, roped off. Now, the district, however, since it's the center of learning, I would imagine it would be dominated by the magic house of House Thorani and the magical technology house of House Cain. So with that being said, I can imagine the upper levels of Upper Memphis not being too dissimilar than this. I mean, we have some giantish ruins behind us here because we're in Storm Reach. But all of this is pretty much Caniff built. And so all of these textures and all of these looks would not be out of place in Upper Memphis. I'm not too sure they would have the high roofs though. I mean, it would be a lot more stackable. I mean, most of it would look more like the upper parts of this central tower here. Getting gradually wider and with doors and whatnot. And then occasionally you'd have big open air flats, getting smaller as you go down, obviously, as you go down the towers. Here where you would have NPCs to interact with and quests to find. And actually, I would imagine a bigger crafting hall on the lower levels. I think that House Caniff in the dedicated learning environment would be able to protect that. I would see a lot more of the bars to be actually open air like this in the upper levels. Obviously, not all of them Caniff inspired. But I could see a lot of upper area ones having this because, the big draw of living on the upper levels of any of the towers is, the sight lines and the views. Now, I think for fine dining, however, well, let's go first to the House Denny's. We're almost right there, and I want to pick up the Grand Slam breakfast. I also want to see if I got it right because I don't think I did. I did. Hammersmith's Inn. Yes. This would really be your typical adventurer's bar. I think it always kind of has been. This and the Wayward Lobster are pretty much the definition of an Eberron bar. Look at that. I mean, we got an adventure. We got adventurers right now. Look at that. We got 3 adventurers right here, hitting up these guys for the quest line. So yeah, obviously this is a pretty successful and Timber Migrant and Gunther Hammersmith. Gunther, man, you run a good place. Now, like I said, we do need to worry a little bit about upper class. And I imagine Zendrik's a little bit like Bakersfield, where it is, it's there for a purpose, so it attracts people who have to be there. And so, that's why occasionally you get a Michelin chef in the middle of nowhere anywhere. So we've kind of seen Joe's Eats. Let's go over to the Adept's Rest. No, wrong one. Well, we're going to pass her here. This would not be out of place in an upper level, except without the giantish stonework. I'm not too sure the 12 want to be out-towered, though. I'm not too sure if the 12 are going to be all that big of a presence in Sharn. I mean, obviously they'd have a connection. I haven't really kind of got that far yet. I'm rereading them. It's been a while since I've read these source books. Although the floating nature of this, I mean, obviously this would work much better in Sirenium Manifest Zone. But let's get back to dining. See, I always thought this should be the place where you find the 12's representative, but I think he is this one over here. He's right here. I mean, he doesn't even have primacy of place. He's sitting here off to the side. That seems strange to me. Wrong side. Yes. The best bar in all of Zendrick, I think, here, and we're going to go in, is the Adept's Rest. This used to be the worst bar. I mean, absolute worst bar. I don't even have any screenshots from the old time. But it's got a nice, pretty skylight, wonderful decor. I'm pretty sure the members of the 12, here in their fine robes, are not big into eating garbage. Like at the Rusty Nail. Why would you eat anywhere called the Rusty Nail? I wouldn't even. No, as a bard, I would drink there, but I wouldn't eat there. I would have my hard, and I would only have the hard liquor, because the alcohol is sterile. No beer. It's gotta be hard liquor. But this, pretty much right now, is the biggest difference in looks between a low-class adventurer's bar and fine dining. Now, if they could pump this up to 11, I would say, you know, even if this was it, maybe with like open windows. Imagine all of these in a big vista overlooking the hilt. That would be awesome, with like boats and stuff. I think that would be awesome. Yeah. All right, well, that's going to cover today's adventure into Sharn. I promised I would cover pages 13 through 20, since they offered most of the really good ideas for adventuring hooks. Next, I think I'm going to take a look at the Dragon Shard houses and their representation in Sharn. That should be next week. Let me go back to the bar. I'm going to make the announcement back there. There we go. So right now, also, since I am trying to stream every single day in the month of August, we are doing a giveaway for Shadowfell Conspiracy Standard Pack. It's all I could afford. But it is a free expansion pack, and I'll give you the code. The way to enter is that simply by August 27th, you have to follow the Glyn's Arcade channel at twitch.tv/DougGlendower. Now, if you additionally, if you subscribe, you will be entered for a total of 3 times. You'll get 2 extra parts of the draw. Now, I don't want my bot to run it because I want people to be able to do this throughout the course of the entire month, and I don't want to have it have. I mean, I'd love to have 25 X-Packs to give away one a day, like Bloodborne had done back in December, but I'm poor and they're not on sale. He bought them on Black Friday, and that's something I'm thinking about. That's a good idea. But if you are a follower, you have a chance to win. Yeah, if you already, I know some of you already have it. Just give it to a friend who needs it, or use it to promote your own channel, or whatever. It's yours. Now, if you ask me to redraw on the 30th, I'll be drawing it. I will be doing this live stream. We'll draw live on the 30th, and if you're here and you just want me to give it away to somebody else, I suppose I can. But I'm doing this to try not only to build up my channel, but to show the appreciation to the entire DDO community, because in all honesty, I think DDO is probably one of the finest games ever made. Certainly the finest MMO I've ever played. So remember, just follow to win, and subscribe for extra chances. And we'll be back here on this channel tomorrow for a small stream, and we'll be back here next Saturday at 3 o'clock Pacific for another look inside of what might be inside of Sharn City of Towers. And with that, I wish everybody out there peace and good questing, and we'll see you in about 50 minutes for Board Life on the official DDO stream. Catch you there.